helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
If you were doing something that threatened your financial future, wouldn't you want to know about it? Of course you would. So here you go. John, the Motley Fool says most of us are sabotaging our retirement by not tracking the fees that we are paying. So please explain this.
Yeah, that Motley Fool is right. That's a darn right fool right there.
Okay.
But there's truth to that. As a matter of fact, I guess it was last week. Last week, I had a wonderful couple came in. They said they'd heard the show for years, and I asked them, well, if you've heard me for years, why on earth did you come in? And they said, no, because you make a lot of sense. You make a lot of sense. And the one thing that we're unsure of is how come we lost a little bit of money last year? That's the first thing. The second thing they said was, well, how much fees are we paying? So we had a chance to go through their portfolio, and I asked them, just out of curiosity, even before my staff ran the analysis, I said, how much fees do you think you're paying? And they had done their research, or at least what they thought was their research. They pulled out all of the reports from 401k, and they had all of those operating expenses from their plan. They'd done a good job. I mean, right there you could see plain as day. One fund said they were paying 0.62%. Another one said 1.17. But what I wanted to focus on in their portfolio, because they had some losses and I could immediately tell what it was, I wanted to find out what those bond funds cost them in that portfolio. So when we were looking through their bond funds, what they saw on their statement right there, that operating expense was about 0.83 to 0.94%. Okay. So that's what they thought that they were paying. Unfortunately, Heather, that's only a portion of what they were paying on those fees.
Why?
As a matter of fact, what we did, because I have a third-party software that we run on every single account, we want to know what is someone really paying, because we want to compare. We want to find out, okay, what do we need to do to put them in a better spot, not only from a plan standpoint, but we never want to cost client more money. As a matter of fact, if we can charge them less, it's in our fiduciary duty to kind of try to do that every single time we can. So when we were going through that, Heather, we found out that this couple, wonderful couple, on their 50% bond portfolio were paying over 1.6% in fees in this account. Okay. 1.6%. And on top of this, they had lost over 4.5% in losses because those bonds lost money over the last year. So when you start figuring this out, you're like, oh my gosh, this cost this couple nearly 6.5% on their portfolio. Wow. I don't mind telling you, they had about $600,000 on that side of their portfolio. So last year alone, Heather, it cost them almost $39,000 in fees and losses that they would not have had to have if they had been employing what we actually taught them last week. We actually showed them the ways that you could completely, especially on bond alternatives, completely get rid of those bond fee costs completely. And then on top of that, they would have actually had a positive 3% return. So Heather, when we were going through this is a perfect case in point where they didn't know what the fees that they were paying, what it cost them. It was charging them basically 3 times more than they could have done on their own at Vanguard. More than that, they were in dead money assets that lost them money, cost them almost $38,000. But then had they been doing what I would have taught them, they would have actually had about a $50,000 gain instead of a loss. So Heather, that's about a $90,000 difference in just 1 year. That's one of the easiest things that I can let someone understand. If you just know where you are, if you just know where you are today, you can make much better decisions about where you want to go in the future. But if nothing else, this couple's going to save themselves almost $13,000 a year just in fees that they no longer have to pay on being in a dead asset. So this is a huge deal, guys.
Yeah.
So think about it. How much other money do other listeners have out there in accounts? They think, I mean, they pulled out those operating expenses. But guys, I don't care who you read. I don't care if you read Forbes magazine, who did a pretty big expose on this. I don't care if you read the Tony Robbins book called Money Master the Game. I don't care if you read the other book you did called Unshakable. When you look at the actual cost we're paying in those accounts, that operating expense is just a portion of the total cost we're paying. And many times that does not even include, if it's in a 401k, the extra 401k fee we might be paying if we're no longer working for that company anymore, or if we're already on a retired status. Those things add up to where it can literally mean not only hundreds of thousands of dollars over the long run. I mean, this one particular couple, it was a $90,000 swing in just 1 year. Imagine if we could have fixed this 5 years ago. I mean, this could have been almost $400,000 of potential difference in what they would have in their accounts for that same amount of money. Guys, that's huge when you look at that. So not only do we need to understand what we're paying, but we need to understand what else is out there. In my office, we typically advise the lowest cost exchange traded funds that we can get our paws on. I mean, we're talking stuff that costs 0.03%. So that means for every $1 million you have in that sucker, you're going to pay a whopping $300 total to manage that $1 million, guys. That is a very big difference, because if you're paying 1.5% on that $1 million, guys, that's $15,000 a year that you're paying instead of $300.
Jeez.
See the difference?
Yeah.
So when you look at that, how does that compound over time? It makes a tremendous difference. So in this example, what we talked about is how we can potentially, if we know our fees, we can save fees. But let me put it this way. If you can just control your fees, guys, it might be able to let you retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought. Or it could mean that your money lasts for 5 to 8 years longer towards the end of your retirement. So if you've ever done the analysis and you're fearful, you're like, oh, I don't know if we can retire yet, or I don't know if our money's going to last, make sure you really have a skilled fiduciary do your fee analysis, because they might be able to find out, oh my gosh, you were right. You may have run out of money, but now by fixing these fees and getting them in check, we can add 3 more years of income on the back end of your portfolio without any fear, and not might be the difference between retiring when you want to or not being able to retire at all. Huge difference, Heather.
To say the very least, I mean, the difference in percentage, the amount of money coming out of your pocket, what did you say, 1.2%, 1.5% versus 0.03%?
Oh, and that's not even the average mutual fund fee that people pay in those 401ks. There was actually a study done by the Center for American Progress that found that the average bear in their 401k were paying an all-in fee of 2.22% on their assets. Oh my gosh, 2.22%. And that's not including if you're hiring an outside, money manager to review that and you're paying them extra money. I know that Edelman's, retirement engines or whatever he calls that thing, I know they charge money on top of the fees of your 401k, and they can only deal with what you have in that 401k. That may or may not be in your best interest. Your best interest might be to roll that into your own individual IRA so you can control those fees down to the absolute bare bottom line, and then find out, then do you need to have a skilled fiduciary, because they may be able to help make you more off of those low fees. That is what most people probably ought to consider.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Integrity Financial Planning Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, NPN number 2293473.